How's it going, guys? Cameron here with Canadian Gamer coming at you with another video. So yeah, you can check it out. I've got the new artwork up, and I talked about it in my last video, but Sony Movie Studio 2022 edition. It's an incredible piece of software. And not only can you edit video with Movie Studio, but you can also edit still images as well. So, like I said, I took this image that I found from Doom 3 on a Steam forum, and then I added in the lens flare, as you can see here, and then I added obviously the title of the channel on the artwork as well. Now the funny thing is up here in Canada, you can basically throw the image on a thumbstick, a USB thumbstick, and you can drive down to Staples, and then they can pull it off the thumbstick, and you can either go back and pick up the image later on in the day once they print it off, or you can pay for a 1 hour, kind of like a 1 hour photo, if you will, where they get it all printed off and ready to go for you. So it's just funny. I took an image and I modified it, and then I was so excited to go to Staples to get this printed off. I took my USB thumbstick with me, but I actually saved the image to the computer, not the thumb drive. So I got all the way to fucking Staples, and I throw the thumb drive in the computer, and the guy's like, okay, which image is it? And I'm like, oh fuck, I forgot to put it on the thumb drive. So luckily he gave me, what they have is like kind of like an email address where you can actually do it from your house. You can email them the image, and then you get a code, and then you call them right away, and you give them the code, and then they print it off, so then when you show up, they'll have it ready for you. So it wasn't a big deal per se. So then I picked it up, and it turned out well, but I forgot to ask the guy to cut off the excess, the white. And I get home, I'm like, oh, fuck. So it doesn't really matter. The more I thought about it, I'm like, the white kind of works. It kind of, brightens things up a bit versus if I were to take, if I were to paint it black up here and here, it might not look right. So I'll leave it like this for now until maybe I get a frame that's of a more appropriate size, if I can find one of that size. But that'll have to do for now. I hope it looks okay. I know it's not perfect. Again, this is just a hobby channel, and I wanted to change things up, sort of freshen things up. I don't know how well it looks from your perspective, but when I'm looking at it right now, it looks pretty cool. I went with a gloss finish on the print instead of going for the matte finish, which is what I had on my old artwork. So I still have the old artwork, but yeah, it was good to sort of freshen things up. And as you can see, I've got Doom 3 Steelbook here as well. So pretty happy about that. All that talking, I think I need a sip of my beer. So the next thing I want to quickly showcase or talk about, I dug out a couple of Aftermarket Sega Genesis controllers that I had stashed away. I wanted to pull them out and take a closer look at them. Hadn't really looked at them since I acquired them with a sort of like a lot purchase last year. And the first one I wanted to show you guys was ProPad 2. I think this is one of the better Aftermarket controllers for the Genesis, and I'll explain why in a minute. So you can see here, this was a pretty common controller back in the day. Funny enough, I think I had this controller for the Super NES back in the day. But yeah, you get the 6 buttons, and you get the shoulder buttons as well. But the thing that's really cool about this controller is it's big. So if you've got big hands like me, the 6 button controller, the OEM controller on the Mega Drive Genesis, it's a bit small. So this one here, it's just a perfect size for me anyhow. And yeah, it does have the turbo button on it as well, but I guess unless you're playing a shmup, it doesn't really, add a lot of value to the controller. I don't know. But yeah, really good controller, really good build quality. It's right up there with the build quality of the OEM controller. And then the last one I want to show you, it might have been created by the same company, but this is the Super Pad, and I think you could get this on the Super NES as well. and it's a 6-button controller as well. Very similar to the shape of the 6-button controller that was released by Sega. No shoulder buttons on this one. Again, it is smaller, but it is a good controller. It has a good fit and finish to it. It has a good feel to it as well. So, yeah, the Super Pad controller, I imagine you can pick these up pretty cheap. So, if you're having a hard time finding an OEM 6-button Genesis controller, I never see them out in the wild. You can always go the aftermarket route, and you can get, either of these bad boys. And yeah, I highly recommend it. So I'm gonna hook them up. I want to try out Clay Fighter, but you need a 6-button controller to play it, and the controller I have hooked up right now is the 3-button. So yeah, so that's it. There's not really a whole lot else to talk about. I just sort of wanted to put out a video just to show off the new artwork and see how you guys like it. Sort of piggybacking on the last video I put out, all the rage today was, oh my god, Rockstar is coming out with Grand Theft Auto 6, just because there was like a little sentence in a paragraph that suggested that Rockstar is working on GTA 6, like we didn't already know that. Big fucking deal. Oh my god. Have you gone back recently and tried to play GTA 5? It's like the whole GTA Online aspect of it sort of soured things for me. I can't even go back and play GTA 5 because that's a damn shame because, and I talked about this before, but that game was pretty awesome back in the day when it came out. It was pretty groundbreaking, and I can't even bring myself to go back and play it. I don't know. It is what it is. I guess the last thing we'll talk about here, right around the 7-minute mark, I think it is worthwhile. It is something I would like to talk about maybe in more greater detail on another video, but again, you guys never had it so good as far as gaming is concerned, and I think a lot of people out there take things for granted. I think the current landscape of digital gaming, again, it's very much like a Netflix service with Game Pass, but not only that, just being able to go on and buy games digitally. At least for me anyways, this is just my opinion. Again, I'm a bit older, so I might have a different perspective on things. But I find when you're throwing so much at me, I don't know what to choose. And I end up just not wanting to play anything. So that I'm talking specifically, digital games when you go on to your PS5 or your Xbox Series console or Xbox One or PS4. It's a bit overwhelming. So I wanted to share a story. Back in the day when I was a kid, late 80s, early to mid 90s, we didn't have any of what you guys have today. Again, we had the older consoles, and if you wanted to play a new game, you'd go to the corner store and rent a game. And if you liked it, perhaps you'd go to, Kmart, Zellers, Walmart, Byway, and pick up the game. And then you picked up that game, and no matter if it was a great game or a mediocre game, a lot of times you found a way to enjoy it. And there wasn't so many games coming out as there is now, especially with a lot of these indie releases. I guess you could say, especially with the PC, indie releases have always kind of been around. We just didn't really call them indie releases back then. We called it shareware. But I just think it's just my opinion. But back in the day, there was quite a few titles coming out, especially around the mid to late 90s with the PC boom. Everybody was sort of playing, PC gaming. But for the most part, you could keep track of what was coming out month to month on the gaming consoles. And it was just a lot easier to sort of enjoy gaming, I find. And I find now there's so many games coming out, and they're coming out so quickly. It kind of sucks because you do see a lot of games that pique your interest that you'd like to play, but you've got all these other games over here that you haven't touched. And, you get into this fucking rabbit hole where you're constantly, oh, I want that game. Oh, I want to try that game. Or I'll pick up that game and I'll play it later. And then, before you know it, 15, 20 years is going to go by, and you've got a fucking shit stack of games you haven't even touched. And these games just keep coming out, and they keep coming out, and they keep coming out. So that's why, at least with myself, I've sort of pumped the brakes on buying games. I still buy games, obviously, here and there. But, I mean, I just acquired a PS4, and I haven't had my PS3 for that long. So I've got a lot of games to sort of pick and choose from over the next several years. I'm in no position to be running out to buy a next or a current gen console, I guess you would refer to them as. I still call it next gen. But not that there's a lot of titles to choose from right now. I feel bad for you guys out there that bought a new console because, partially the pandemic is probably to blame. But a lot of these publishers are releasing these titles as cross-gen. So, by the time you guys start getting exclusive content on your new consoles, they're probably going to be already going out the door. So, and by the time the PS6 and the new Xbox comes out, they'll inevitably probably be all digital, and we can have this conversation all over again. But yeah, I just find it's really overwhelming. I went on to the Microsoft store, and I was on there for fucking 10 minutes, and I couldn't handle it. There's just too much to look at. I miss the days of being able to go into the store, take that box off of the Blockbuster shelf, caress it in your hands. What's this? Flip it around, look at the images, read some of the stuff on the back. Take a chance, take a risk on renting a game. I don't think you can really rent games. Well, obviously Game Pass is kind of a rental service, but it'd be cool if you could still rent games. Those days were just way better as far as gaming memories are concerned. Just going into the store, renting the game for 24 hours, enjoying the game so much that you rent it for another day, and you piss the next person off that keeps going into the convenience store to rent the game, but they see we'd have these little plastic kind of like a clip that would go on the box, and it would say that it's rented, and someone else would go in there looking for that game and be, oh, it's rented. And you'd always have an asshole that would rent a game for like 7 days straight. So yeah, good times indeed. So I'm going to leave it there right around the 13-minute mark. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And thanks so much for watching. Have a good night.